I want to talk to you now about the Weber-Fechner law of pricing. Why do I want to talk to you about it? Because it's going to be very useful for pricing quality differentiated product lines. Now you see these kind of product lines everywhere. I've got skiers in front of you. You've got one person with a little kid's set of skis, and perhaps one of their parents with another ski on, and then you have a high performance skier there. And they all may be made from the same company. They're just different versions of fundamentally the same product, which are skis. And the company needs to ask themselves, if I have many different products in the product line that are differentiated by quality, how should I price them in relation to each other? Now, to answer that question, we need to look at some underlying human psychology. Here I have a picture of Ernest Weber, 1831. He's a serious looking guy, isn't he? Well, he developed an understanding of psychology that allowed us to explore how people adapt to stimulus. And he found that the increase in stimulus needed to produce a just noticeable difference is a constant. Now, wait a second. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about pricing? No. For the moment, I'm not talking about pricing. I'm talking about psychology. But it's the same psychology that we're going to be able to use to do product line pricing. And I think what Weber focused on is best understood by a simple example. So take a look at these line segments. One is 10 millimeters long and another is 11 millimeters long. Now, can you look at that and tell the difference? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. It is kind of a small perceptual difference looking at one versus the other. That difference is just a millimeter, so it's small. If you look at 20 millimeters versus 22 millimeters, does that look different from each other? Maybe, maybe not. Notice that's a 2 millimeter difference. But also notice that the ratio of the stimulus to the underlying size of the line, that's 1 millimeter to 10 millimeters, is exactly the same as the ratio of the stimulus to the underlying line size on the second little example here, which is 2 millimeters to 20 millimeters. And just like now I have 30 millimeters and 33 millimeters on the right. Can you tell the difference between the two? Well, all of them have kind of this 10% stimulus, right? They're all basically a 10% stimulus. And depending on how you kind of perceive the world, and this does vary at the individual level, if you can detect the difference in the 11 and 10 millimeter lines, you're probably able to detect the difference between the 33 and the 30 millimeter lines as well. So for you, it would take a 10% change in the stimulus in order for you to be able to notice it. Now, it turns out this doesn't just happen for line segments. This is just an example. It also happens for hearing, right? How much louder do I have to make a sound before you detect it? It only takes a small difference in sound if you're listening to something at a very quiet level, but a much larger difference in the magnitude of the sound if what you're listening to is already very loud. Just think about the case of maybe holding a weight in one hand versus the other. That'll work there too. If you're holding a weight in your left hand and that weight is 5 pounds and someone adds 3 pounds to it, do you think you'll be able to notice it? Yeah, you'll be able to notice it because 3 pounds relative to 5 pounds is a big change. If, however, you're holding 50 pounds in your hand and somebody adds 3 pounds, will you be able to notice it? Maybe not so much, because 50 is a lot and 3 is going to seem like just a little change relative to what you're already holding. So when it comes to the world of stimulus and human psychology, what it means is the magnitude of the stimulus needs to be related to the magnitude of the current condition. And only when that change is above X, in this case it's 10%, will you be able to really notice it, to notice that there's a difference. Now, this works in the world of sound, it works in the world of distance, it works in the world of hearing, it works in the world of other types of human perceptions, and it's going to work in the world of pricing.